Oops. Hello, hello. It's Runa here, and I am about to, I've been trying to get online with Nick, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do it this way. I'm going to search for Nick here. And see how he is, if he can manage to do this way. We were trying to do it via Zoom, and that was somehow not working. So I'm going to try to see if Nick can join in on this way, and we can have our conversation. Hi, Joe. Great to see you there. Hi, Ingrid. Beautiful to have you both there. And I am going to see if Nick can join me on this live streaming interview that was all about really looking at why men are not from Mars and women are not from Venus. It's a topic that Nick and I have been talking about for quite some time, and now that he just published his new book, the relationship book that we're going to be talking about, I'm hoping that he can actually come online on this call to be with me. If not, I'm just going to look very silly being here alone and talking about something that, well, I can talk about a lot of things, but I'm mostly prepared to be with Nick on this. But I'm going to see if Nick can, in fact, here he is. Here. Yeah. Nick, I am bringing you on. Yeah. There you are.
I'm here.
Ooh,
There we are.
We managed. We managed to do that. Well, technology, here we come. We're not going to be intimidated by this.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We're never surrender. Never surrender. Exactly. So this is not exactly how we imagine this to be, but we're out of the box. We do things as
we do.
Yeah, we go with the flow. And speaking of flow, Nick, I'm just going to go directly into the big question here. Your book, by the way, it's fabulous. The new book.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing out a little bit. The first one was happened to be your co-author, and now it's you going solo. Which is beautiful. But in your book, there's one thing that I think many people are asking, and I want to drill into that question immediately. So your book is all about energy and flow, being in your flow, knowing your energy, and how that is involving with relationships. Now, here's the thing. Why isn't there a section in your book that is all about relationships? You do not talk about masculine energies and feminine energies. Why is that, Nick? Did you get it?
Yeah, so the question is really why in the whole of the book, The Art of Kind and Flowing Relationships, why there is no mention of masculine and feminine energy once. Because there is absolutely nothing there. It's for three really good reasons. The first one is, I'll list them all and then we'll. The first one is that they don't exist. They're a human construct. The second one is the fact that we believe that they exist. What they tend to do is they tend to trap us within stereotypes and within roles, and they are the cause of lots of disharmony within our relationships. And the third reason it's not there is because they perpetuate this whole idea of gendered professions and gender society, etc. So but the fundamental reason they're not there is they don't exist. They're a construct. Retrospectively, probably what I should have done was put a chapter in, pulling it apart. But I wanted to be about what we have, and the use of the other is not what I didn't want it to be a negative pull down.
Yeah.
But I'm aware they just, they don't exist.
And on that note, because the topic of our discussions today is about that men are not from Mars and women are not from Venus. Share with us, how is that related to exactly that same thing that you're talking about?
Well, we picked that title, which is by John Gray, and it's because it's a hugely popular book. Mm-hmm. That talks about men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or whichever way around it is. And it basically splits people up and says that genders are fundamentally different. Mm-hmm. And it starts then assigning a whole lot of associated traits to feminine energy. So mm-hmm. feminine energy is about collaboration, it's about listening. Male energy is about domination and forcefulness and pushing, so these energies are attached to a whole set of traits and behaviors and emotions, and they're very, very divisive. They're also not fundamentally true. There's no reason why collaboration would be associated with a feminine energy, and why forthrightness, pushing, would be associated with a masculine energy. I mean, we are trained within our childhoods to adopt those sorts of roles, and lots of things go on. So, for example, when they did a study when people were holding babies, and when they assumed the baby was a boy, they held it outwards, and when they assumed the baby was a girl, they held it inwards. And it was nothing about the energy of the child, because it just kept on changing the color of the clothes, and we were doing it based on the color perception of the child. So our world very quickly starts to create this norm for us, and it's a narrative that goes on. But I mean, we've interviewed Gina Rippon together with her book, The Gendered Brain. And every single bit of research that comes out says there is no difference between masculine and feminine brains. Yeah. There is societal differences in what we do. And with the book like John Gray's Men are from Mars, Women are from Venus, it was given really strong academic criticism at the time. But all the criticism, it fades into insignificance, because we see this as a really useful narrative, as a box to understand men and to understand women. So there has been recently some levels of some realization that actually we're a mix of all these different traits. We have some which are more dominant, some which are less dominant. So the big fudge at the moment, say, oh, well, you see, we have both masculine and feminine energy within us. Woo. And that's what the fudge. So I have my feminine energy in me, which is about nurturing, and then it just goes back into the same stereotypes.
Yeah, well, exactly.
I have my feminine energy, which is about nurturing and understanding myself. But then I must step into my masculine energy, which is all about stating my own value and things like that. But so all we've done is we've fudged it and say, well, we've got both of them, but at the heart of them, it still sits this
stereotype. Exactly. And isn't it, when you're saying that, I think what I've noticed as we've been having this dialogue with people all over the world on the boxes and how our biases are formed and where they're sitting and all of that. And one of the things that I've noticed is, my assumption of what is a feminine and what is a masculine is just mine. And it might be totally, in many ways, different from yours. And most likely there are things in there that are just not the same. And therefore, when I am telling you, oh, Nick, you have to step into your feminine or step into your masculine, it's from my perception of what that is. Instead of saying, Nick, you need to be more assertive, or I think it would be good for you to step up your game, or that that I will be more clear on what exactly I'm talking about, that I'm not fussy about it and saying it's a masculine or feminine energy, when in fact I'm asking you to do something different. I mean, we talked about this many times because I was so puzzled. I kept on getting this message from friends that I know they were saying things from a good place, and they kept telling me that I needed to step into my feminine. And what they said to me when I was started to look at it and thinking, why am I so frustrated every time? I could feel my frustration just rise when one more time I'm asked to be more feminine. And then I started to look at, so what does that mean for me? What does it mean to me for me to be feminine? And it was not about being caring. It was not about being loving. It was not about being collaborative at all.
Mm-hmm.
In my subconscious mind, when I opened up that box, feminine for me, and I hate to say this really, but it's just, let's get it out there, it meant to be vague. It meant to be weak. And so what I was hearing when someone told me to step into my feminine, they were telling me to be weak. They were telling me to be fake. And that is not what they were asking me to do at all. They were probably just asking me for, Runa, you need to take more care of yourself. You'll be more self-loving, or you need to nurture yourself more. Or that might have been exactly what they wanted to say. I was not hearing that because I was so conditioned to say that's what it is. And I was puzzled, really puzzled by it.
And I think you're absolutely right. We have our own perceptions of what these energies mean, and then we have the general society-based perceptions of what they are. But you're absolutely right. When people say, "Oh, as a woman, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step into my feminine energy more," what they're actually meaning is I'm going to, like you say, I'm going to take care of myself, or I'm going to look after myself better, or I'm going to. And then what they'll say, but I'm also going to step into, this is a time to step into my masculine energy. And that might be, I'm going to have stronger boundaries. I'm going to learn to say no. I'm not going to move into a place of sacrifice. Where, and my question is, why do we have to label these as masculine and feminine traits?
Yeah.
Because can't we just say, actually, as someone, I don't look after myself particularly well, so that's what I should do. Or as someone, I don't project, I don't speak my voice or the truth in the same way as I could do. Or it just starts to create division. And you have this idea, this saying, okay, well, feminine leadership. Well, what is feminine leadership? They say, well, it's more compassion, it's more listening, and more things like that. But should we just not have leadership that's like that anyway? Why do we have to assign a gender to it? Because it creates boxes and fundamental division. And the other thing I think that commonly happens when you have those idea of masculine and feminine energy. So what happens in a relationship where you have a heterosexual relationship where you have a man and a woman? You have expectations that the man should be a certain way and the woman should be a certain way. And this idea, well, there is someone was speaking with someone else about it. Well, men and women, masculine and feminine energy is it's like poles on a battery. It creates the charge and the excitement. I'm thinking, no, batteries don't work by having opposites. They work by having flow, not by having opposites.
They work by having flow.
Yeah. That's how batteries work.
That sounds so relaxing. It sounds so calm. It sounds so effortless when you're saying that, instead of, oh, I have to be this because I actually remembered my mom did that or my grandmother did that. Or I remember back when my grandfather mentioned something to my grandmother, and just taking that as that's how life is. That's how that's what I'm supposed to be doing. But rather than, okay, so who am I? And how do I want to show up in this world in my flow and allow other people to be in their flow? How can we create our common flow?
And I remember a while back, we had a conversation with someone who was talking about his chap. He was talking about wanting to have kids. And when he described why he wanted to have a child, it was all based around the stereotypical views of what a man is. And he was like, but my wife, she doesn't really want to have children. I'm thinking, I'm not surprised.
No, exactly.
Not
But because,
surprised that you
yeah,
want to
I
have
mean,
children.
in his view, he said, I can't wait to become a father. And when we went in, you know, thought, oh, that's beautiful. And tell me more. What is it that is really exciting? Well, just so excited to be playing with my son
Yeah,
football. And
yeah.
yeah, and going out on, you know, playing football with my son. And I actually thought about my father when he said that, because I remember, you know, my father's first child is a boy, and my brother. And I remember my dad saying many occasions, well, he didn't get the sport guy that he was really hoping, or, you know, looking forward to be playing with, because actually when my brother, bless him, he's great in many ways, but he's not sporty, and he would say that myself. And because he went on his wellies out to the football game, and that's not exactly the equipment that is a good one for when you're going out for a football game. My dad was
Yeah,
embarrassed.
yeah. That's not showing any commitment to the art of football, is it? Going in wellies, even know that.
No.
So what happens is we end up within our relationships with the expectation that we're going to adopt a role based around masculine and feminine energy, and then we have this, oh, well, you've got both, you can do both, and we can mix and match. So it is a fudge. The other thing that happens with this idea of masculine and feminine energy and the associations of traits, what we then end up with is professions that become very gendered. So you say, okay, well, nursing or caring, and think, oh, they're very gendered professions. So you end up with sets of behaviours going on within the gendered profession. You exclude certain groups of people, or people feel comfortable, or there's just a failure of people to be able to be themselves within those professions, and a failure within those professions to attract a diverse group of people. And it's not just masculine and feminine energy. We have other stuff that goes on in terms of race, nationality, educate, etc. But gendered professions are a massive issue. And we think this idea of masculine and feminine energy is in pop culture, and we think it's really useful, and we think it's really empowering, but actually it sits at the heart of so many relationship difficulties, so many societal differences, and it's a fundamental thing that stops us having this united front, this united gender front, to
This
tackle
united
our
gender
biggest
front,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
That we
yeah,
actually are bringing the best out of the individual,
yeah,
regardless of their gender. Yeah.
yeah. And we are who we are.
Yeah.
I remember working with a young chap who wanted to have a sex change. He was absolutely adamant. He said, I do not feel like a man. I definitely feel like a woman, and blah, 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 blah. And I have felt that all my life. And when we really drilled into it, what he was describing was feminine energy. Or he
Wow.
said, actually, I feel very nurturing, I feel caring, I love to listen, I like to think. And it was really interesting, because I have a very similar energy to that. And it was over a space of a number of months when we were exploring it. What it actually turned out was he wanted to be able to have those traits. And he associated himself with those traits.
Yeah.
But because they were feminine energy, he
Yeah.
felt he must be female to have so much of those energy-based traits.
In him. Yeah.
And once we broke it down that there is
Wow.
no such thing as masculine and feminine energy, there is energy
Yeah.
that makes some of us want to nurture and care and feed more. Me, I'm a feeder. And other energies that make us want to be more pushy, directive. Bless you. You're more forceful than I am, but you happen to be housed with some external framework. But our energies they could be considered to be the wrong way around. And then we've had our upbringing that plays into that. So with this lovely young man, once we kind of went through it, and this was probably 15, 20 years ago, he absolutely got that he was who he was, and he was just himself.
Wow.
And I recently got a lovely photograph of him holding his daughter, happily married, and he said, I do this, I do that. And he's just this full expression of himself.
Yeah.
But this idea of masculine and feminine energy was infiltrated into him, so much so that he actually wanted to have his genitals removed and to be given hormones to be an outward appearance of a woman. Whereas now he is the outward appearance of himself, and he is the inward expression of himself. So that's a level of damage that goes on. And one last thing, what we have to remember as well is that there is a massive industry out there that makes a ton of money by playing with this narrative. It's really simple as a narrative: masculine energy, feminine. Women, if you're yielding, this idea we were talking about the other day, men are penetrating and women are receiving. It was kind of was part of an interview we were listening to with a particular person who was talking, and so it's. I think there are a number of challenges with getting rid of this idea of masculine and feminine energy. One is we've been brought up with it. We see it everywhere and we perceive it to be true, and it's in our common narrative. So do we actually, it's like the emperor's new clothes, do we actually suddenly look at it and say, actually, what am I talking about is actually caring for myself, and what I'm talking about? So it's culture is in the part of the normal thing. It's also difficult to get rid of, because we then don't have another language don't have a box to describe what caring and looking after ourselves is like, and what being forthright, domineering and stuff is. So we don't have another language. And my suggestion is we just say, actually, I really need to start looking after myself. It's kind of a bit more
obvious. Exactly. Just say it. Just say what it is instead of, because otherwise we just have to assume from our conditions.
And the other reason it's hard to get rid of is because there's an industry that makes vast amounts of money from it, from running with that narrative.
Oh gosh, and making people feel that they are not enough, that they are not good enough, because they're not this.
Or trying to find some simple rule to follow, that if I'm feminine, I would be like this, if I'm masculine, I'd be like this. And God, this is being fair to the people that are in the industry making lots of money out of it. To be fair, they believe this is. We have certain people that we've seen on Instagram with massive followers, and these people fundamentally believe their truth. And they just cannot see the world any different. And we tried to engage in a conversation, and we were just banned.
We were banned from them. We
were banned.
We were just asking, where do you get this information? Where
did you get this idea from?
Just where does it come from? And it was like, couldn't even answer. I got it from myself. I mean, that would have been nice.
Yeah, but I had that same thing when someone was saying, "Oh, well, feminine energy." I said, "What is feminine energy?" Well, collaboration, etc., and all the normal narrative that comes out. And I said, "Well, why is that feminine energy?" And they said, "Oh, because masculine energy is directing, domineering, pushing forward, expansive thing." Well, why is that masculine energy? Oh, because feminine energy is. And then I said, I'm really sorry. We appear to be in a bit of a loop here. I just want to know, from a starting place, why is that? And then they turned around to me and they said, it's yin and yang, Nick. Now, my background is Chinese medicine. I have done it for 40 years now. And there is a story about yin and yang, that it has gender-based stuff. But it was introduced much later, and it was introduced in order to suppress women. This idea that yin is feminine, yang is masculine. Yang is above, women are below. Hey, that's convenient.
Let's put it that way.
Men are directing, women are receiving.
Ooh, who's in control now?
Yin is in, female, stay in the house. Men is out, out in the world. We ended up with all sorts of things. So yin and yang, there is a narrative about it, but it was only introduced to suppress women.
Wow.
All it was introduced was to suppress women. To say that men are above and women below. And this same thing of men are logical and women are emotional. Perfect. The Greeks used that to stop women having votes. Why would you want to have anyone emotionally voting? Women are emotional. And then in the 1950s, they used in the 40s, in order to get women out of the factories and back into the home, they invented and reinforced the narrative of feminine energy, housewife, happy home, man out at work. And we ended up with the 1950s stereotypes of gender. And then we end up with books like Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Somewhere Else. Venus it is, isn't it? Whereas I think we end up with books like that then create it into popular culture. Whereas actually, men are from Earth and women are from Earth, and we exist as one.
Oh, I love that. Exactly.
We're just earthly beings, or we're spiritual beings.
We're earthlings.
We're earthlings.
We're earthlings, and we are all sorts, and we have all sorts of traits, and we have all sorts of energies, and we're all sorts of beautiful thing around us, and we should actually be starting to use it rather than hide it.
We're not that different. We're not that different. Unless we make ourselves different, and then we will be very different. And then people have to act into their stereotypes.
Yeah.
Or the expectation of them. So I think we just have to take this out of the conversation.
That's beautiful.
That is a very long answer to why it's not in my book.
But we will share the link to the book in beneath this live
that'd be great.
video. Yeah, I will do that. And on the other hand, I also would like to use the opportunity to anyone that is listening to this now live or the recordings to join Nick and myself and group of fabulous people every Friday, different people, and sometimes same people or a couple of people that come again and again because they're loving the conversation. But we are having out of the box conversations around creating the future from now. And we're actually having our second call this Friday at it's 4 p.m. UK time.
Yeah. So if you listen to this, just put the word interested, and then what we'll do is we'll send you a link to come to one of those meetings.
Yes.
And it's great. Every single Friday, 9 a.m. UK time. Every single Friday at 4 p.m. UK time. And we've chosen UK time because I am time challenged somewhat, so we can't. So it's something I can.
We have to play with our strengths.
Yeah. I was seeing some comments coming in. Exactly truth from Innocenta.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for hearing. So put in the comments if you listen to this as a replay, or I can see that we've got Joe here. Hi, Joe. And other different people here. I can't see everybody. But just put in the comments if anything your thoughts about this. Is this jarring with you? This idea.
Is.
Do you want to defend this idea of masculine and feminine energy? Feel
free to pop in any of the ideas that are popping up in your mind as you're listening to this and watching this, for sure. Innocenta says men and women are made with same flesh and blood by same creator.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah to that.
Absolutely. And we are no different unless we choose to make ourselves different. And
then we're very different.
Unless also society pushes us to be different, to create this stuff. And with this personal development movement around liberation and full expression, it's a culprit within creating those society norms. That's it, I think, Runa. So I shall see you at 4 o'clock today for No More Boxes conversation, where we explore all sorts of boxes, not just gender, but
we were talking about the workbook this morning, and we're going to continue. It just depends on who comes in and what's the topic. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to say thank you so much, Nick. I'm going to go and be an earthling till I see you later this afternoon.
Me too. I shall be an earthling too. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.